I'm interested in what you would say is a healthy attachment versus unhealthy attachment. Because I saw you talk about it before, right? But I find it kind of interesting that from a Buddhist perspective, there could be something that's healthy attachment.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
So what would you say is the difference?
Well, in Buddhist terminology, the word attachment typically just has a negative connotation,
Right.
just meaning when we are ruminating on something.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a coarse attachment where we're ruminating on a conversation we had and how bad it was or how upsetting it was.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a subtler kind of rumination or obsession, which is just the obsession with ourself. Buddhism doesn't have the phrase healthy attachment. That's something I sort of borrowed from the world of counseling. So what I meant when I was talking about healthy attachment is that the relationships and the things that we do that we rely on that help us move forward in a healthy way. Because
Right.
some people who study Buddhism, they hear the word non-attachment and they think, okay, so then I don't need anybody. I don't need anyone in my life. I don't want to attach to anyone or anything. I'm just going to sit in my house and meditate. And then, I don't need anyone.
Right.
Most of the time, people who use that very extreme approach to non-attachment, they want to get rid of relationships, especially the problematic ones. I think that's very dangerous because as people, to some degree, we need to rely on other people, stable relationships to be healthy.
Right.
So in that context, a healthy attachment would be a relationship that helps us to live and grow in a healthy way, compared to a relationship where there's emotional attachment, there's some good feelings, and there's a sense that we need someone. But if the relationship actually brings us more and more trouble, more and more distress, it's possible that that relationship is an unhealthy attachment. We don't
Right.
really need the person. We just feel that way. And we may be staying in a relationship that is deteriorating our mental health.
Right.
Kind of like folks in abusive relationships. They feel they need the person, so they stay there, but actually the abuse is really just mentally and physically harming them. So it's better to get
Right.
out.
Understandably. Yeah. Well, that's very interesting how you put it. Attachment could be unhealthy. And as you said, for instance, with relationships, but also when you're describing this idea of some people wanting to completely withdraw from the world or any sort of connection with others, I was thinking, wow, that's actually a form of attachment in itself. Being very attached to this idea of not needing anybody at
Mm-hmm.
all. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and we're people of this world. We do need to interact, and that's how we can positively influence others or let other people positively influence us too.
Yeah. Yeah. Most people need the feedback of other people for themselves to grow in a healthy way.
And I imagine like if we go to extreme of not putting yourselves out into the world, then it could be actually very stressful to deal with things. Anytime where we have to do with something that's related with life, then it could be really overwhelming. So being able to go about the world and do what we need to do helps us to be able to practice non-attachment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there are people within Buddhist practice or Buddhist culture, hermits, I guess the English word, where they practice in the mountains their whole life. And there's a romantic kind of view of that, like, oh, wow, they're above the world or they've transcended the world and they're in the mountains just kind of floating here and there and not eating any food. There's all these romantic ideas about it. But what I've seen in people that I've met actually who were hermits avoiding the world, spending their whole life avoiding people for the sake of intensive practice. Many of them had mental health issues. They became afraid of the world. They became afraid of people, afraid of interacting, but they didn't realize it because it was just, for the most part, they're just by themselves. This practice within Buddhism of retreat or escaping to the mountains for intensive practice, typically it's just for a brief period of time. It's almost like teachers go on sabbaticals just to take a break from all their work and nourish themselves, right?
Right.
And maybe withdraw from the education community to nourish themselves. It's kind of like that. True hermitage or hermit life is just a short period of time where after you re-engage with the world and with your responsibility. Otherwise, it can be dangerous for people to isolate themselves.
I could see that. Yeah. Well, life is always about a balance, and there's times where we're more engaged with the world, and other times where we need to be able to spend some more time with ourselves to have some self-reflection and do some deep form of meditation separate from the world. right? But as you said, anything can be taken to an extreme.
Yeah,
And
yeah, exactly.
so when I think about healthy attachment, it made me wonder if desire has some sort of role, because usually, like, for me to be motivated, right? I imagine I have some sort of desire. For instance, I'm interested in learning about better mental health, so I would seek you, for example, or seek someone to do an interview. Like, I want to know, I want to learn, right? And there's usually like a desire behind it. So I was wondering, usually I kind of imagine like sometimes desire could have like a negative connotation to it. I was wondering if it has a role.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure what paradigm you want me to use, like either the Buddhist one or just general mental
Either
health.
way, yeah,
Yeah.
both could work. Yeah.
I mean, within the Buddhist paradigm, there's healthy desires and there's unhealthy desires.
Hmm.
The terms, though, are more typically desire, as again, has a more negative connotation. And in Buddhism, it refers typically to just craving for some sort of sensual pleasure, whether that's what we see, hear, feel, taste, or touch, any of these things that are pleasant. When we crave for them, that's actually suffering. That's distressing to crave for something, right?
Right.
Or even craving for fame, craving to attain or acquire something, for the most part, is distressing because it becomes a rumination. It
Right.
becomes an obsessive thinking. I want this. I have to have this. I need this. That kind of desire, from the perspective of Buddhism, is a problem because they're endless, and that kind of desire is never fulfilled. But there's a healthy desire, which the term is vow or aspiration, which is a desire to become well or to become free from distress, free from anxiety.
Right.
That desire to improve or to be well, to be free from attachment. It's desire, but it's just a motivating force. It's not an obsession. However, with that said, some people can be obsessed with improving. I want to become a better person. I'm not good enough yet. Or I want to become enlightened. I want to be a Buddha. And they obsessively think about this goal they set out to achieve. That's a problem too. So really, whether desire is healthy or unhealthy, it requires that we have a certain degree of awareness, that we're using this thought to motivate us while at the same time not getting obsessive about achieving whatever we set out to do.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. Something I would say is that having goals not necessarily a bad thing, something to work towards. Is really the fixation on the goal that is the issue, or a fixation on the craving that is an issue. So when you're talking, I think basically if someone has an unhealthy attachment, they have a lot of trouble living in the present. They're always thinking about something better out there.
Right. Feeling that we're never happy or fulfilled until we reach the goal. That's obsession.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And when you're talking about having a healthy desire, I see that as more something that intrinsically motivates you from within, like this very genuine curiosity in the moment, a genuine desire for personal growth.
Yeah, I see it as a healthy desire gives us direction, and it could be to benefit other people as well. But as long as we have this direction, we won't get caught up in, waiting for the goal, waiting for when will I reach this goal? When will I be better? As long as our direction is clear, then we'll feel good doing what is, like you're saying, in that moment, it's already benefiting us, benefiting other people.
Right.
It's more of an emphasis on the process, and that we have a clear direction and we're just doing it.
Right. This ties me to what you have said earlier about intention. We have intention, we're setting the direction for how our day would be like, and it helps to be able to do meditation to help ground that intention within us.
Yeah, because if our mind is very scattered and distracted, our intention is almost like, I don't know, it's just like a little fly in the wind. The fly just gets blown away because the wind is so strong, compared to when, the wind of our mental distractedness is calmed down. Then the fly can easily move through space, or it can land.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And then when you're saying that, I feel a sense of calmness. Like, it's really nice to be able to imagine it that way, that it does not take this much effort. A lot of this incessant effort comes from having a very distracted mind with a lot that's going on within it.
Yeah. If we're really distracted, everything can feel difficult, because it's as if we're fighting with our own distractions,
Right.
and frustrated that we can't do the thing we want to do because we're pulled by our impulses. So having some form of mind training or mindfulness training is so important to be able to really work on our goals or go in the direction that we want to go in.
Yeah, and I think some people may think they don't have time for mindfulness or meditation, that they just have like so much to do, right? That so much that's going on. What's something that you would say to them?
Well, I'd say if that person values the quality of their mind, if they value the quality of their mind and quality of life, then meditation, taking even a little bit of time every day to do it, will improve the quality of everything. But if they just want to focus on quantity, well, I can understand that. They just want to do more and more and more of other things. But I think the consequence of that is the quality of their experience of life will deteriorate. Trying to do too much and ignoring the health and the stability of their own mind.
That makes a lot of sense. I also think about the quality of their time and quality of the work too, as well, that those things would suffer. And on the surface, it may appear that they're doing a lot, but they may not be doing that much when we look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, and they may not be enjoying it, even though they're doing a lot more. But I mean, really, meditation doesn't need to take up too much of the day. 5 minutes or 20 minutes, even a half an hour. How much time do we waste during the day? I'd say many of us waste much more than a half an hour.
Right.
So to take that half an hour, it's kind of like we could go through the day after day without showering. What would that feel like? We'd be itchy, our whole body is uncomfortable. So we could do a lot of things, but because we didn't shower, we feel terrible. All it takes is a 5 or 10 minute shower. We get all the junk off our body and we feel good. We feel comfortable the whole day.
Yeah, that's a really great analogy. Yeah.
Right. But we need to shower regularly, whether it's every day or whatever the routine. Otherwise, all this junk just collects on our body. And eventually, it's not only uncomfortable, but we get sick. We get skin infections, we get ear infections, eye infections. If we don't take time to take care of our mental health with some form of, whether it's not only sitting meditation, but some form of activity that develops calm and awareness, then our mental health will also accumulate problems and we'll get sick mentally.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like the analogy of a shower because that's something that a lot of people do, is take a shower, and that makes a lot of sense. It feels good, and it's also good mentally too as well, because the water gets on our head and changes our brain waves, and meditation does the same.
Yeah.
Sometimes I realize that when I stop doing things to take a shower, then I'm able to think about things differently, and I don't get locked into a very specific way of having to do things. Sometimes I think I need to get this problem solved, and I just keep working on until I take a shower. And I actually see the analogy that you've made with meditation is very accurate, because I find the same thing with meditation. Like when I take the time to do that, then it shifts my whole mindset and how I go about doing things. I approach a problem from a different angle.
Yeah. And eventually this way of being or perceiving can be integrated into our whole life. Sitting meditation or walking mindfully, it's just an ideal situation for calm. But eventually we can mindfully shower, mindfully do the dishes, mindfully go to commute, take the train, in a way that we eventually start developing this calm and clarity and awareness of ourselves in all situations. So this way, figuratively, we're showering all day. We're not letting anger or rumination accumulate. We're washing it clear as soon as we become aware of it.
Wonderful. David, thank you so much for doing this interview. This is really worthwhile, and I'm happy to be able to share this with others.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me. Happy to share my experience.